Now our first diphthong is A. The good news here is that although there is the R color combination, the R colored A, which would be air, you actually don't have to use the diphthong. You can use the third vowel sound, eh. Now, you cannot do this the other way around. If something is supposed to be eh plus R color, then it has to be that. You can't just switch it to the diphthong. Now, the way that you're going to make this R colored diphthong is, again, just like with that third vowel sound or with any other R colored combination, you're going to say the diphthong A, but notice we stop A. You don't want to go as high. Okay, you still want to sort of touch that eh, the end of the diphthong, but you're kind of moving into the sound at the same time that you're moving up to the eh, and this blends it. And so you don't quite get as high here because you're already starting to pull back here. So we get like air. Okay, so you're pulling back here, and you might want to sort of raise the front of your tongue up a little bit more than usual to make sure that you actually hit that eh. But again, you can simply say it with the third vowel. So looking at these examples, I will first pronounce the word with the diphthong A, and then I will pronounce it with the third vowel sound eh. Where. Now note, those two pronunciations are pronounced the same. Both of these pronunciations can apply to both of these words. Care. Bear. Air. Chair. Fair. Player. Now that last word can also be said with a very clear y, a y sound, player. So that one, probably because it's spelled with a y and it's originally play, and we're adding the er, that one actually does have a clear third pronunciation. So again, seems kind of complicated because of the options that you have, but it's actually very simple. You don't really have to use that diphthong A. You can just do the third vowel sound eh with the R color, which is just one less thing that you have to worry about. Now let's move on to the next diphthong, which would be I. So is there an R colored version of I? Yes, but it's not required. With ire, you can actually do a small y instead of R coloring the diphthong. And again, we're going to talk more about this small y and the small w, like an oer, when we talk more about connections between words. But the way you want to do this is, if you're going to R color it and not do a small little y to say like ire, small y, not ire. Okay, you could do that. Sort of separate the two sounds, but keep the flow of voice. But if you want to do the R colored ire, which is a little more difficult, but if you want to, then there's actually a little bit of a range that you can do. There's a couple slight variations of how you can move the tongue between the diphthong and the And the first way would be where you sort of do like a two-step process, where you start with ah. And remember, when we're doing our color, we're going to go from that starting position and immediately start moving into the So when you start lifting that ah from I, you start closing the mouth a bit, you're going to actually start pulling back a little bit and get that R starting to go towards the back. It's not like on the back of the tongue necessarily, but farther back. Like when we did air, we kind of had to lift the front here because this is already pulling back. Otherwise we can't quite hit that eh. Now with I, because the mouth is more open, the one thing that you can do is you can sort of, as you start to close, you sort of pull back a little bit, And then you hold this here as this continues to come up, and then you pull back. So it'd be like, IR. Notice it's not like I. See, you can hear that little bit of an as soon as I start closing. So you're going to hold that as you close through the whole sound. Now that's one way to do it, okay? The other way to do it, which is maybe a little smoother but might be kind of hard to do, is you want to kind of take the whole tongue from the position and kind of do this. So it's like the A, but you're kind of going like this. And you're actually not quite going to hit the I up there, but you're going to get close enough that we would recognize it, okay? Ir. So I'm actually kind of doing like, I'm pulling this up a little bit and then I'm kind of just going back and I'm not actually getting up there. So anywhere in that range, you're okay. I definitely recommend practicing this with somebody so that you can get some feedback on how you sound. It can be a very difficult combination to do. But as I said, you can simply do a small, very small E sound, a Y sound, between the two. So let's look at some examples, and I will do both pronunciations. First with the R-colored IR, and I'm not going to do both ways to do it, it's just R color. And then I'll do it with a small Y. Fire. Fire. Wire. Wire. Tired. Tired. Liar. Liar. Myers. Myers. Inquire. Inquire. Okay, so both of those pronunciations for all of those words are perfectly acceptable. If you want to do the easy way and just do this small y, do that. But remember, it has to be a small y. Okay, it's not a full Y sound. It's not fire, it's fire. Our next diphthong is ow. Now, is this one R-colored? Well, we saw that or is R-colored, but we saw that oo, the or, is optional. You actually don't have to say that unless it would make a difference between two different words. We end ow in pretty much the same position that we end oo and o, right? It's like a small W, a small w. It's not a full w sound. It's like a w, 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 okay? Just like we just talked about the small y sound. Now, the good news here is that it is not required to R-color this diphthong. You can simply say it as if it's two syllables, okay? Now, you want to keep the flow. Always keep the flow. Very important in English. And by that, I mean you don't break the sound. It's not like ow-er, right? We want to keep the flow, but it doesn't have to be blended with the sound. Let's take a look at some examples and see what I mean. First, I will say it with the R-colored ow, and then I will say it with the separate ow and Our. Our. Scour. Scour. Power. Power. Note that power actually is supposed to be two syllables, but you can R-color it and make it sort of like one syllable. It's possible. And lastly, we have hour. Hour. Okay, so do you hear that small W between the two when I do the second pronunciation? Now our last diphthong is oi. Okay, the end of oi is again that I. Sounds like E, but it's I, the second vowel sound. And again, because we're so high, it's actually very natural in many cases to just sort of do a small y. Let's look at some examples. Employer. Destroyer. Sawyer. Lawyer. Okay, now notice Sawyer and lawyer are spelled AW, but they're not ah. Okay, this again might be because in other dialects, and probably the original pronunciation from British English or whatever, was with that ah sound, that unmerged ah that I don't have. And so that's probably why you might see the AW spelling with this oi. So to summarize the diphthongs, the air, it is R colored, but you can just do the third vowel. So that's easy. The ire, that one you do not have to R color. You can do a small little y sound. Our, again, you do not have to R color. You can do a small w sound. And oyer, you can simply do a small y sound, or potentially even a full y sound. In other words, you don't have to worry about R-colored diphthongs at all. Just remember, the way that I'm teaching you here, the way that I pronounce words, not all of it matches what you might find elsewhere. Like, I don't think there's a such thing as a R-colored schwa, at least not the way that I speak, so you don't even have to worry about that at all. Stay tuned for the next lesson, which will be on the L vowel sound. Finally, I know a lot of you are waiting for that. So, thank you so much for watching another English Hacks lesson, and I will see you guys in the next one.